Hey, it's Trav here and welcome to Naked Nutrition. It is my meal plan, recipe guide, basic overall nutrition philosophy, and I've tried to condense all the good stuff into one little book to try and keep it simple for you guys, so hopefully you enjoy what I've got for you. Now, I'm not going to worry about contents, we're just going to go straight into it. I've worked as a personal trainer since 2003, and it's pretty much all I can do is coach other people in terms of health, fitness, and nutrition, mental stuff, emotional stuff that comes in between it as well. I'm a coach. It's all I can do. And that really comes down to, I had so many questions about this sort of stuff when I was growing up that I couldn't get answers to. And I've been studying and studying and studying since I was probably 14, 15, somewhere around there, when I started to really look at pushing things in terms of my performance for basketball, because I was absolutely obsessed with basketball when I was a little kid. Now, I was a skinny guy, still am a skinny guy, I've been through all sorts of things with that. Like I said, started lifting weights when I was 14, 15, and my body just didn't respond. And to this day, it still doesn't respond like a body should do. So, whereas I could train someone in several months and have like a really impressive result come through on their body, mine just doesn't respond the same for some reason. And that probably comes down to a whole load of health stuff. So recently I've had chronic fatigue. That started just after my 30th birthday in 2010. I'm now 8 years on and still going through it, getting closer to coming out the other side and doing a hell of a lot of good stuff. Got a lot more energy. I'm not in anywhere near as much pain. And I know that along the path to getting my health back, I've really worked through a lot of major underlying health issues that I didn't know about, my family didn't know about, and we figured out ways to be able to get past them. So even now I live a fairly strict lifestyle in terms of when I sleep and how much I sleep, what I eat, how much exercise I do and what type of exercise I do. And I've got really strong beliefs on that sort of stuff. Excuse me. Purely due to my experiences over the last 8 years especially, and before that as well. So anyway, mid 2017 I decided to sell my personal training business, and that was after almost 8 years. Now, I'd only had that business 6 months before I got sick, so the majority of the clients that I'd worked with only knew me while I was in that sick state. So anyway, it's been an interesting time, and I've not really worked for the last 9 months and having a great time at it, and that's led me to be able to work on other projects and do stuff like this, get things done that I generally wouldn't have time to get done. So I first started writing this in 2009. It's been rewritten multiple times over the years as my knowledge has been growing, and I've learned to simplify things because I am a details guy. I like to know everything, I like to tell everybody everything, but that doesn't work for most people. So the more we can simplify it, the easier it's going to be for you, and the more likely you are to be able to stick to it. See, the problem with nutrition is it's not an exact science. You're different to me, I'm different to the next person. We're all different. Our bodies come from different things. We may have different underlying health issues. We may have different likes in what we enjoy and taste of food and stuff. We may have different views. You may decide you want to go vegetarian or vegan. That's okay for you. But it may not work for somebody else. And the strange thing is, it may not actually work in terms of your own health goals. So that's something to be aware of too. But above all, nutrition consistency is everything. So if you are consistent with getting your vegetables in on a regular basis, if you're consistent with your protein intake, if you're consistent with clean, healthy food and very limited processed food, you're going to do a whole lot better than most people are going to do. So that's really the biggest thing, and that'll probably come about in a lot of what we go through. Now, with my nutrition stuff, I've really brought a lot from Precision Nutrition, and that's because they've really worked well to simplify nutrition and work through with the psychology of nutrition and getting people to do those consistent actions on a regular basis. Now, that's probably the most difficult thing. If you can get your habits built up, then that's going to support you for years and years to come. The person with the most healthy habits is really going to be better off in the long term. It's all good to do a crash diet or a short-term diet if you've got a goal, a wedding, an event coming up that you really want to get in shape for, but what's really the point if you put it all back on, and quite often more, in the months following? Not so great, but to each his own. Anyway, I've also worked with Precision Nutrition with their Pro Coach software, and that helps me to coach a whole lot more people at the one time, and we go far more in depth into detail. So looking at your nutrition, giving you lessons on a regular basis, giving you accountability to check in and make sure you've actually done that habit, done your workout, done what needs to be done, so you can actually get the results that you want. And I'm really enjoying that. I love the conversations that it opens up, and I love the results that we're getting from it. So let's kick things off with probably the best starting place is where you're at, where you want to be. So where are you right now? What's your weight? What's your body fat percentage? What are your measurements? Are you happy with how your body looks right now? Are you happy with how it feels? Are you happy with how it performs? So you might be at, let's say you're a guy and you're sort of mid-30s and you haven't been doing too much, but you do a little bit of exercise here and there, and your diet is, it's okay. It's got some room to work with. If you're around that 20% body fat mark, you're right on the border between getting into the unhealthy range of things, and that's not great. So you really need to dial things back down and get yourself into a healthy range. But you need to decide what that is for you. So on page 7, we've actually included a chart to show you what it looks like at different body fat levels for men and for women, just so you've got an idea of what to shoot for. Now, most importantly, don't try and shoot too high too soon, because it's going to take you some time to get there, and it's going to take you a lot of effort to get there, and quite honestly, to move from one phase to the next, that's substantial in itself, and that's going to take a whole attitude, paradigm, habit shift. Once you've got those things in place, then you're more likely to do it. But here's the kicker. What are you willing to give up to get there, and what are you not willing to give up? If you're not willing to give up Friday night beers, okay. If you're not willing to give up pizza, if you're not willing to give up ice cream, if you're not willing to give up going out and partying on the weekend and drinking several nights a week, then you're going to find things are going to be a little bit more difficult, or that lifestyle will dictate what your results are going to be. But it's up to you in the end, because you need to choose if you're going to choose lifestyle, or if you're going to choose that healthy physique or that particular look that you want. At the end of the day, it's up to you. But once you define where you're at, you'll know where you can, you know your starting point, and then you know where you're going to be able to go from there. Or if you're going to be able to reach that goal, or what it's going to take to reach that goal. So if you get onto page 8, you'll find that we go through some of Precision Nutrition's charts. Now, these are going through those unhealthy levels, or the unhealthy level, and working through the different healthy levels of body fat. So the first one for guys is over 20% and women over 30% body fat. I mentioned body fat percentage. I recommend getting body fat percentage checked on the Tanita scales. There are other ways to do it that are more efficient or are more accurate, but they'll cost quite a lot more money and take a whole lot more time. And quite frankly, we're just looking at a reference point. Now, I use Tanita, and I have used Tanita for at least the last 10 years because they have been a consistent guide throughout that entire time. I've checked in other brands, and I haven't really found anything that works as well for me or the people that I've worked with. That's just the one that I like. But whatever you do, if you're using one set of scales, you're going to get the right result. If you're comparing your body fat percentage on the gym scales and your home scales, and they're two different brands, you could get two completely different readings, and they could be off by 5% or something crazy like that. So just so you know where you are from there. Now, at that unhealthy range, really what you want to do is eat less processed foods, eat smaller portions, and eat slower. And you want to start doing some exercise. You want to eat some more whole foods, and you want to get some more sleep. Now, it's just really basic things, but in a busy society that we live in, it's really easy to get carried away with it. So, yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Let's go into an intermediate type level. So we're looking at body fat percentage range for guys of about 15 to 20% and women of about 25 to 30%. This is where you want to stay kind of at the high level, because this keeps you at that healthy range, and you're still going to look quite good, but it's not necessarily going to be that dramatic ripped look that some people are looking for. But remember, healthy is really number one. Healthy is where it's at. You lose your health, it can screw things over, and I speak from a lot of experience, it takes a lot out of your life. So I urge you to really focus on staying in this healthy range, even if you're not worried about the physique things. At this level, you should really be doing 2 or 3 strength sessions a week to maintain and build muscle, keep your strength going. Ladies, don't be too worried about strength work and getting big and bulky, because you just shouldn't have enough testosterone in your system for that. There are very few exceptions, and steroids obviously will push that sort of thing up. But in general, most women are not going to end up bulky. If you have a really athletic family and you end up with those genes, then your body may adapt to exercise a little bit more in terms of that strength and that muscle gain thing, but that still is not that common. And when you're at that point, if you find that you get to a particular point in your training where you're starting to put on too much muscle, all you want to do is drop your weights back to a slightly lower point, so that you're not stimulating any more than that. As in, that's kind of your peak strength rating, or I guess maybe more hypertrophy, but you're not lifting too much more volume than that, not too much more weight than that, so you're not putting it on. Like I said before, and I've said many times, you generally don't have to worry about that. Guys, you really don't have to worry about just putting on a ton of muscle, because it's not an easy game. There will be some people that do it more than others, or do it easier than others, but that's just genetics and how it is. So, along with your strength training sessions, you should be doing 1 to 2 interval training sessions each week, or 1 to 2 sports. Your sports, like really good interval ones, are martial arts classes, surfing, basketball, hockey, anything with that sprint action in it, or a short burst followed by somewhat of a rest. At this level, you're going to start cutting down your drinks, especially sugary drinks, desserts, processed foods, and practice eating slowly until you're full or almost full. Now, moving on from there, you're now getting down to sort of, for guys, 13 to 15% body fat, and women 23 to 25% body fat. There's going to be a little bit more effort coming on here, so you're really going to be training every day. That's fairly well normal. You push harder at a few workouts, lifting heavier weights, maybe lifting a little bit more volume, getting a lot stricter on your food, and making sure you get enough sleep each night. And I can't stress that enough. They say about 8 hours sleep. Yes, great. Also, you want to try and get in bed somewhere before 10:30, ideally, so you can get that restorative sleep, not just for your body, but for your mind as well. So you really come out recharged on the other side. Should be eating plenty of vegetables, should be having protein at each meal, and you really can't afford to be pigging out at this level. It just doesn't work. Those weekend binges are really going to push you over the edge and halt your progress more than anything. So, planning, shopping, storing leftovers are really a key to success at this level, and that's something that you need to be doing on a regular basis in order to maintain it or move yourself on. Going up from there, you're really pushing up to an elite level here. This is where abs start to become visible, and this is a whole lot more discipline again. So for guys, this is sort of 10 to 12% body fat, women 20 to 22% body fat. You're training every day at this stage. You push hard at 3 or 4 of those sessions, always getting to bed on time, rarely eating desserts or processed foods, you don't drink your calories, and you're starting to sacrifice lifestyle performance much more. Your food for the week is planned out perfectly, you stick to your diet, there's no talking you into it, there's no multiple beers unless you know that you have your workout and the rest of your day's food lined up to work in with that. So at this stage, people are going to think you're obsessive, but it's your choice. You embrace that disciplined, healthy lifestyle and feel energized most of the time, and that works for you. Again, this is a choice on lifestyle, and your lifestyle is more a healthy lifestyle than an indulgent lifestyle. But that's for you. Now, if you really want to move up from there, this is where things get tough, and this is where you really sacrifice your lifestyle. So this is more for serious people who are usually high-level athletes, bodybuilders, hardcore health and fitness fanatics. And even then, there's not that many of them. So you really need to be super dedicated at this level, and it's going to take up the majority of your time. So you're really sacrificing that lifestyle, like I said. I personally don't work with people at this level because it's not really necessary for the majority of people to be there. And in fact, I've never been there. I've only been as low as 10% body fat. Really, to go any lower than that would take a whole lot more lifestyle, and I'm not really willing to give that up. So if that's what you want, that's great. But like I said, this is a super disciplined point where everything is calculated. There's not really any room for error. You're as disciplined as you're ever going to be and almost obsessive about it. But you're going to look fantastic. Just got to be careful that you don't go too overboard with this. This point you can start having mood swings, and you can start having more health issues turn up. But it's just something you need to maintain, and that has a lot to do with how many calories you're taking in on any given day, where your calories are coming from, how much you're training, how much you're sleeping, how much rest you're getting, and how much mental exertion or work that you're putting in too. So it's certainly not an impossible place to get to, but it's a lot tougher than other things. So, right, let's move on from there. What does your plate look like? Now, you want to put together a good quality meal. What's it going to look like? So, we're on page 11 here. We go through some images, again, from Precision Nutrition. And this just shows the proportions of how much of what is on your plate. So, as I can't draw a visual picture for you, roughly 2/3 of the anytime meal is going to be vegetables. A quarter of the plate is going to be protein. So, meat, fish, eggs, tofu if you're a vegetarian, or one of those other vegetarian protein sources. And then fats are going to take up sort of maybe 1/8 to a little bit more than that. Now, and this is just a rough guide, remember that. On top of that, water is your drink of choice because we really don't want any liquid calories. Now, if you're coming after a workout, you want to replenish the body of protein, carbohydrates that it's just used in the workout, and you don't really need too much fat at this point. So with this, we're looking at about 50% of your plate's going to be protein, 50% of your plate's going to be vegetables or fruit, and you can have a small amount of starch as well. Now that can vary from person to person, but a good guide is sort of, for the lower weight of things, sort of 20 to 25 at the bottom. This is grams of carbohydrates. And at the top you might be going up to 50 odd grams of carbohydrates for a bigger guy especially. But again, we need to work that out for you. It's kind of a little bit more tricky, I guess. But then you've got to go trial and error. And I know a lot of people hate the whole trial and error thing, but just start at a basic point. So let's say post-workout carbohydrate starch, we're going to look at, so I weigh around 70 kilos at the moment, and I would be eating around 25 to 30 grams of carbohydrates from a starch source after a workout. So if you're slightly lighter than I am, you'd go slightly less. If you're slightly heavier than I am, you'd go slightly more. You know, if you're an extra 30 kilos on top of what I am, well, you're probably going to be up to about 45 grams of protein, 45 grams of carbohydrate from starch, and possibly higher, just so you've got a rough idea. There's also a plant-based eating guide on there, and that'll just give you a little bit more insight into how it's structured with plant-based eating, because it is a whole lot more difficult to get your protein, or takes a whole lot more discipline to get that protein, and you're going to be eating a whole lot more starch, a whole lot more fruit, just because you're taking away those animal products. Again, this isn't a perfect science. We're all different. It's going to take some trial and error for you to figure out where you're at and really what's working for you. So another great tool is going into MyFitnessPal, the app you can use on your phone, and you can put your entire day's worth of food in there, record the quantities, and record all the different foods, and they'll come up with a rough guide of how many calories, the protein, carbohydrate, fat content, and just highlight, I guess, where you're at. And you know, you can look at the plate and go, all right, well, so anytime meal, vegetables, maybe it's about 2/3. So you can go into MyFitnessPal and have a look. Oh, what was my carbohydrate, protein, fat ratio today? And you know, it's going to come up with pretty much those numbers that you really need to give you that guide. It's also obviously going to tell you where your calories are at, so you can track that. Again, you don't have to be spot on with your calories every single day. If you're on a diet for 2,000 calories or 2,500 calories or whatever it is, you can, some days you're going to have 1,800, some days you're going to have 2,200, some days it's going to be 2,000. If you're at 2,500, you know what, you might have a big competition day where you play a couple of sports, or you're surfing for 2 or 3 hours and you eat 3,000 calories, but you know, the next day you only eat 2,000 calories, and the next day you eat 2.5, 2.8, 2,200. Yeah, it's going to fluctuate, so don't be obsessive about it. Yeah, not really important. So if you can, forget counting calories for a while. That's really going to help. Precision Nutrition have got this great portion control guide, which uses your hand to figure out how much you need in terms of your serving size. So for men, serve protein going to be roughly the size of your palm. All right. For guys, it's 2. For women, it's 1. And this is at most meals. For your vegetable portions, fist is going to make what it works. For guys, it's 2. Women, it is 1. For your carbohydrate, so your starches or fruits, that sort of thing, you are really looking at a cupped hand. Again, for guys, it's going to be 2. For women, it's going to be 1. And for your fat, your thumbs are going to determine your fat. So let's say that your thumb takes up this much room. If you laid your fat out, it's going to take up roughly that same sort of area. So again, for guys, it's 2. For women, it's 1. That is a rough guide, so have a play around with it, and you may need to go more or less depending on who you are and what your body type is and what your calorie needs are. So, right, moving on from there, we now go on to our 14-day habit checklist. As I've mentioned before, habits are really the key to success. and the key to living a fit and healthy life. It's not easy to make good habits, but you've got to practice it. Now, the best way to do this is to practice one habit at a time until you can do it with no problems whatsoever. You do it every day without thinking. It's like one of those things where, as a kid, you've got to brush your teeth and you hate it, but as an adult, you just do it and you don't really think about it because it's one of those things that you do before you go to bed. All right, that's what we're trying to get with your nutrition. Get yourself to that point where that food is, it's just your first choice. Or it's not even a thought. That's just what you eat. So with your habits, I suggest picking something really simple that you know that you're going to be able to do. And you're going to be able to do it every day. And you're going to be able to do it every day for a whole week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then you commit to it. All right, so in the book on page 13, we have a checklist. What you can do is print this out and just every day that you do your habit, cross it off, cross it off, cross it off. You can mark it on your own calendar. You can put it in your diary on your phone. Whatever you choose to do really doesn't matter, as long as you do it. So some of the suggested habits we have are take your lunch to work, take a multivitamin, take a fish oil supplement, cut fast food out except for on a weekly cheat meal, and even then don't go too overboard. Switch out bread and pasta for rice and sweet potatoes, so you're going for less processed sources of food. Reduce your alcohol, soft drink, any calorie kinds of drink to only 1 to 2 drinks a week. Reduce your portions by 25% for fat loss. Increase your portions by 25% for muscle gain if that's what you want. Drink a glass of water with each meal or snack. I think if you're drinking a glass of water before each meal, it can help to fill you up, and sometimes the feelings of hunger are actually feelings of thirst and dehydration, so that water can stop you from eating so much at that meal anyway. Moving on, eat a serve of protein at each meal, eat 5 serves of vegetables, try a new fruit or veggie this week, reduce eating your packaged foods, plan ahead and prepare meals in advance, exercise for 20 minutes each day, take a 20-minute walk at lunchtime, do interval training 3 times this week, do strength training 2 times or more this week, do some yoga, mobility or stretching 1 or 2 times this week. Now, navigating food shopping is where we go to next, and this is something that I really like. Again, it's something that I had to really work at for getting myself healthy, so let's kick it off with number 1, make a menu. Make a rough guide of what the foods you like, and pick a few meals you already know how to cook. And look, we've got a blank meal planner on page 38 that you can use, and that'll just give you roughly a guide. Now, you may not have all of those gaps filled in, but then you at least know what you're eating for some of the meals, and you can keep working on that from week to week. From there, you go into the shops. All right, simple. Do you know which shop you go to? Does that have everything that you need? Do you know the layout of the shop? Is it close to home or work? Are you comfortable there because you know where everything is? Is there another shop with healthier food that you could switch to? It might be better. Do you need to go to several shops to actually make it work? Have you considered ordering your groceries online and getting them delivered to save you time and effort? Even with that option, you can set it up so they just do the same delivery each week, so you don't have to think about it. Food just turns up at you, at your house or work or whatever. Number 3, we buy the food. So you got to decide what you take with you. You've probably heard the saying where you don't want to go shopping on an empty stomach, because you will buy everything that your junk food cravings are going through. So try and eat or have had a good solid meal before you do. Look, when you go buying your food, have you got a list? Shopping list makes a big deal. If you make it up as you go, you may forget things. You may go and buy things that really aren't as good as you like. Do you buy things in bulk? Bulk can save you some money, save some time further down the line. Do you buy fresh or frozen foods or both? What's your budget? Do you buy water? Now we move on to preparing or cooking your food. Do you have the necessary pots, pans, and utensils for cooking? Do you have recipes, know how to follow them? Do you prepare or cook your food, or does somebody else? Do you know how to cook? Do you just heat up a pizza or a frozen meal? What quantities do you eat? What's your serving size of protein, carbs and fat? Do you really know what each of these things are? Alright, they're all important. It's time to eat, okay. So, what time do you eat? Is it the same time each day? Do you actually make the time to stop and eat? How many meals do you eat each day? How many snacks? Do you eat with friends? Do you eat with family? Do you eat in a rush? Do you eat while watching TV or playing with your phone? Do you eat outside? Do you eat with utensils or with your hands? Do you eat on the couch? All of these behaviours around food will affect your digestion, how well you absorb that food, and that's important as well. So, alright, storing food. Do you have a large fridge or freezer, or fridge and freezer to store your food in? Do you need a new one so it's got enough space? Do you have a cupboard area to store all your other foods? Can you clear some space? Can you organise things better so you know what you've got? Do you have containers for storing your leftovers? If not, you can usually buy them from your grocery store quite easy. And I would recommend getting them and working with that because it makes a huge difference to everything. So, moving on again, how do you shop healthy and still cheap? So, lean meat, eggs, fish, fermented soy and protein powder are your primary protein sources. Ideally, you want to get your meat organic because organic animals are fed with organic foods, which means you'll be getting plant matter in that meat, as well as obviously the protein coming from the meat. Now, organic foods are just healthier. You're looking at no pesticides, chemicals, additives, hormones, any of that sort of crap. So you're really dealing with far healthier food, which means you're going to be healthier on the inside. Grass-fed meat is often as good. Wild game is really good. So if you have friends who hunt, then maybe they can bring you home some quality dinner. If organic, grass-fed or wild game is out of your budget, look for free-range meat. Buying in bulk also helps with your costs. So if you have a large fridge or freezer, you can reap the benefits and save some money too. Also, if you eat poor quality meat, muscles, tendons and ligaments from poor quality animals, you too will end up with poor quality meat on your bones, in your body, in your muscles, tendons and ligaments. So that's something to think about. For eggs, aim for free-range organic eggs. If that's out of your budget, free-range is going to be better than cage-raised chickens and eggs. Ask around to see if any of your friends have chickens you can buy the eggs from, and farmers markets quite often have a cheaper price for that sort of high-quality stuff too. So, fish, ideally you want it to be wild caught. Shops usually label their fish with farmed or wild caught, but if you ask them, they'll be able to tell you anyway. You can also get wild caught canned fish from time to time. I've been able to find salmon recently. Just be aware that canned fish or canned stuff in general isn't going to be as great because you can get a build-up of the BPA plastic that they line the cans with. So again, better to have the good quality food than eat junk food. So if you have to, you choose that over eating pizza or what have you. Don't get too concerned with that sort of thing if you have to. You can always go fishing for your own fish as well. Or tell a friend who loves fishing that you are happy to buy what they catch or take any donations they are happy to bring your way. If you're into fermented soy, tofu and tempeh can be bought at most organic places too. If you're a vegetarian or vegan, or you just like to eat those foods from time to time. I would only buy fermented soy as organic and non-GMO because poor quality soy is linked to all sorts of health problems, and it's one of the most highly processed foods out there. So be very careful, organic and non-GMO with soy. Protein powder isn't necessary, but it is a convenient product. But not all protein powder is going to be good for you. Real food is always going to be better because it's not processed. So of the protein powders, I prefer hemp protein the most. I can find it organic in most places, and it tastes good mixed with berries and coconut water. Okay when mixed with water, it's kind of a stronger taste. You can also get pea protein, which tastes good most of the time. Um, Rice protein, I'm not a huge fan of, but sometimes I'll combine rice and pea protein and I'll taste a little bit better. But again, it's all up to your taste. Whey protein is really the most common one, but it can be problematic for most people. A lot of people just don't deal well with dairy. I'm one of those people and I end up with blocked up sinuses and just feel really lethargic on it, so I don't use it anymore. If you want, try it for a month, see how you feel, then go and try one of the plant-based proteins and do that for a month and see how you feel on that. Compare the two, and if you feel better on one way, then you want to try and go with that. The main thing is to buy an organic one if possible, or go for grass-fed, especially with all your milk proteins. To get it cheaper, look online or ask around. You can always pitch in with some friends and buy some stuff in bulk as well and save a few dollars that way. Now let's move on to fat. Fat is highly important in your diet, and the most common sources are coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, avocado, seeds, nuts, and nut butters. These are the healthier ones anyway. I'm also a big fan of shredded coconut in smoothies and coconut chips as snacks. Fat can be expensive to buy if we're talking about good fats and that, but not always, and it's getting better. So coconut oil is getting more common, the price is going way down. Olive oil can be bought in large cans. Avocados you can often buy in a 1 kilo bag for a reasonable price, and farmers markets quite often have good deals on avocados as well. Nuts and seeds can be bought in pre-packed bags or loose from different shops, and the difference in price can be dramatic, so make sure you look around at your local health food shop and compare the prices to save yourself a few dollars. Ideally, you want nuts to be soaked and activated before use, which takes a little bit of time and effort, but it makes them taste so much better. And they're going to be better for you. Basically, it just helps to break down some of the compounds in nuts that they use in nature as a protective mechanism, and then they can be digested a whole lot easier inside your digestive system. Nut butters are also really good, especially the high quality ones, but they are quite a lot more expensive. Peanut butter really needs to be bought organic, as the peanut is actually a legume, and it's prone to going mouldy, so be careful. I've stopped eating nuts and nut butters for now and may not go back to peanut butter. When you talk about mold or legumes, people with candida, which is one of the things I've suffered with, it can really affect them poorly, so I'm doing a strict candida protocol at the moment, and I'm not going to go to peanuts or peanut butter or that sort of thing for some time. I am having some organic almonds and cashews from time to time, and they seem to be digesting quite well. So again, I try and get my fat from organic sources, but it's not always possible due to price and availability. So if something's out of budget, leave it and just do the best that you can. There are a lot of other oils that come into the fat range. Your canola oils, sunflower oil, vegetable oils especially, which are the most common ones used for cooking, are really not good for you. So if you can spend the money on especially coconut oil for cooking, that's going to be a big deal for you, and really look after your health. So yeah, get some. Carbohydrates, so with carbohydrates we're talking about vegetables, fruit, potatoes, grains, sugar and processed foods that are of the carbohydrate nature. Now there's a big difference in the concentration of pesticides in foods too, so it's best to be informed. We've got a chart of the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15 in our meal plan guide, and you can check that out, or you can check it out online. It's just a good guide to show you which ones are more sprayed or pesticides more commonly used, or the build-up is going to be much greater in that fruit or vegetable, and which ones are really not going to be as impacted. So it is good to be aware with these things, because it can save you a whole lot of heartache down the line if you end up getting sick, and really I don't want that for you. That sucks. So farmers market's really the best place to get your healthy carbohydrates. Cheap, they're often really high quality too, and can come straight from the farmer, So just got to look around, get online and have a look and see where there is one in your local area. Now, if that's too time consuming for you, you can always visit several grocery stores or find cheaper places or online shops to get a good deal on that. So with online food shopping, quite often a seasonal box will be a good amount of food for a fair price, and you can get organic stuff this way too if money permits. Really more suited to a couple or family. If you're a single person, a food box is probably going to be way too much food for you to eat in a week. So just be wary with that one. Many people are grain or gluten sensitive these days, so consider cutting out those things from your diet, especially wheat. White rice seems to be the least reactive of the grains, so aim to buy it organic if possible, as rice fields are prone to flooding by all sorts of waste, and just something to be aware of. If you aren't eating a lot of grains, you'll save some money there too. So you're much better off to eat sweet potato, which you can buy non-organic according to that Clean 15 list, and that saves yourself some money there at sweet potato. Beautiful. So as for sugar and processed foods, you really want to cut that stuff out as much as possible and replace them with something else. So this may be a gradual process and take some time, just by slowly increasing your protein intake, increasing your fat intake, and that'll help to get those cravings to disappear as well, or at least subside. And that's a big deal for people who've really suffered cravings. I am one of those people, and yes, the protein and fat makes a big difference. So you can save a ton of money eating fresh foods and spending a little time doing some preparation and cooking. All you got to do is put in a little bit of effort. So alcohol is the last one. And yes, alcohol is still a macronutrient, just not one linked with amazing health benefits. So ideally your alcohol sources should be organic and or gluten-free, but you're going to be paying a whole lot more with that. So price being a factor, just be careful. So most of the time, poor quality non-organic alcohol is chosen because of that cost. So I'm not going to suggest not drinking alcohol, or I'm not going to suggest buying alcohol in bulk either, because if you have it in your house, you're probably going to eat it or drink it. Just the basic rule of food and drink. So on a budget, it's cheaper to just stop drinking. I know it's not the greatest alternative, but it is an option, and if you have to drink, just be careful. It pays to shop around in terms of how much you want to spend. So, alright, what cooking stuff do I need? So, I'm going to tell you the basics of what I use, no matter if I'm at home or if I'm travelling. So, tongs, one of those flat turner things, large solid serving spoon, quality chef's knife and a good cutting board, measuring cups and spoons, a can opener, a fry pan with a glass lid if possible, saucepan and steamer. A small one may suffice, but if you have a larger family or you like cooking in bulk, a large pot will work better. I like stainless steel for my cookware, but there's cast iron, ceramic, stone and all sorts of other ones. Something might be better than what I'm using. I just use, I just avoid the Teflon coated stuff. All that non-stick stuff can peel away, and as it degrades you ingest it, and that can build up into your body as a toxin, and it can be difficult getting out. So just be aware of that. There is a link to some safest cookware options on page 18, so check that out if you have time or you've got more interest in it. So I rarely use the oven and associated cookware because it takes too long to cook the food, or it takes too long to clean the oven, and anything that takes too long doesn't work for me because I'm busy. So use your discretion. You may have more time, or you may just be a pro with this cooking thing. So whatever works for you really is what works best. For storage containers, glass is best, but on the road I generally use the recyclable disposable ones. Grocery stores sell them. They'll sell both of them actually. You just have to look a little bit hard, and if you spend some time you can often find your glass ones for sale really cheap. I found them at half price before, which was absolutely amazing. So Coconut oil, I know that it's a food, but it is really one of those necessary things when it comes to cooking, so just try and keep it on hand all the time. Olive oil can be fine on low heat, but as they go to sort of medium heat or hot, it can go rancid, so you're really better off just sticking with that coconut oil. Yeah, cheap vegetable oils are really no good for you. They can screw up your digestive system in all sorts of ways, so just avoid them as much as possible as well. There's an article that I've linked through to on the Mercola website, which is really good about informing you on the details about cooking oils and stuff. Now, why you should practice cooking and learning how to cook. A lot of people avoid cooking because it's time consuming and the food tastes better when somebody else cooks it. But once you learn to cook, you can often cook better and definitely healthier options than you can eating out. It takes some time and practice to get good at, but not too much, and I reckon it's well worth the time invested. So I am super proud of some of the food that I make, and when I eat dinner I certainly enjoy it. So all of that practice that I've had, completely good for me. So Google's been a great help to me learning how to cook. You can pretty much learn how to cook anything on there. If you just don't know, you just ask a question and you get an answer. So you're not sure, you look at a recipe, you follow the recipe, you got a meal. Simple. So one of the keys is to focus on moderate heat for most things. Stir fries, casseroles, chilies and curries can be cooked on low to moderate heat really easily. Browning your meat's fine at a moderate heat, and sometimes high if you're in a hurry, but you've just got to watch it because you can burn it. Eggs can be scrambled at a low to moderate heat, fried at moderate to high heat. Again, time is of the essence with that. Steak's often cooked on high heat, but cooking a good steak is an art form, so research and practice that one. A lot of the steaks you get at the restaurant are actually pre-cooked in the oven before they are grilled, so just be aware that you may not be able to get it perfect at home in the same sort of way. So mastering boiling water, soups and other liquids will vary between stovetops, whether you have gas or electric. So you just got to find that sweet spot, and once you know where it is, you'll find that things get easier on that too. So if you need some more specific advice, ask family or friends who love cooking or are really good, or find a YouTube video with someone, one of those YouTube chefs, and if they're entertaining enough, then pay attention and you might take some notes from that as well. So you want some inspiration, there is a great link in there to the 10 best healthy eating channels on YouTube on page number 20, so go for it if that is your cup of tea. So now moving on to how to write your meal plan and shopping list based on what you already eat. So this is really important because you and I don't eat the same things, and there'll be some similarities, but there's going to be so many differences as well. So I can put you can put your own meal plan together based on what you already eat, which is way easier than me giving you something completely foreign to start with and going with that, because you don't even know how to cook that stuff. You may not even know what some of those foods are. It can just be very difficult. So start by getting the blank meal plan up, found on page 38. Fill that in based on what you ate over the last week and include any takeout meals. And if you skipped a meal, just put an X in the space, or you can leave it blank, whatever works. So based on the portion control guide, work out how much of whatever you'll need for each meal, and guessing is a good start because you will fine-tune it in the weeks to come. So now from there, write your shopping list based up on all of these things. So you'll always forget something, don't stress, just add it to your list for next time and go back and get it. Don't be obsessed with getting it perfect, because as your habits improve, so will your meals. And upgrading your meals is a far better focus. So let's look at upgrading your breakfast. So maybe you start your day with an iced coffee, and going from there, maybe you wish to upgrade your meal a little bit. You could go and get a regular coffee and a bacon and egg muffin from McDonald's. Well, it doesn't sound too good, but it certainly is a step up. So another time you might want to switch up to an oatmeal muffin or a McDonald's steak and egg brekkie wrap with just a water. Further down the line, you might switch to a super shake or a frittata, scrambled eggs, whatever it is. The point is, you start where you're at and just try and get a little bit better a little bit better each day or each week or each month until your habits are improving, your breakfast is improving, your lunch is improving, your dinner's improving, your snacks are improving. You just eat better, feel better. But it's one step at a time. So one small step is far easier to bite off than one giant leap. So take small steps and they'll translate into big progress and long-lasting, healthy eating success. So keep tweaking that meal plan week to week, add new recipes to try, and make sure you cook enough for nights when you know you're going to be home late or too busy or too tired to cook, because that's when you're most likely to just cheat or go buy some junk food or whatever. Meal preparation and planning can take some work, but it is well worth it. So Precision Nutrition have an amazing article for you to help you master your meal prep, meal planning and shopping, and I've linked through to that on page 21 as well. So from here, let's move on to how to put a meal together. I've already given you a page with what does your plate look like, and that'll give you a good idea of what it looks like on your plate, but how do you get a tasty meal on your plate like that? So PN, Precision Nutrition, again come to the rescue here, and they've got this amazing infographic, but it is absolutely enormous. So rather than going through that, I've linked straight to it, and I reckon you need a look, because they do it like this. So 5-step process: choose a protein, choose a vegetable, choose a smart carb, choose a healthy fat, and then you portion your ingredients based on the portion control guide. Then you choose aromatics or garnishes to give it some flavour. Then you cook it in whichever way works, that's listed in there as well, and then you put it all on your plate. Simple. Honestly, that's all it needs to get to, and yeah, just have a go and check it out. It is well worth looking at and practicing. They've got heaps of ideas in there for showing you different meals you can cook and different types of meals you can cook as well. So if you had the technology to print out this enormous wallpaper-like image, fantastic. It would take up the full length of your fridge, but it'd certainly teach you how to cook. So, all right, let's move on to healthy eating practices. Now, we are amazing multitaskers these days, distracted by our phones, laptops, and whatever else we use to entertain ourselves. But it does take away from us doing one thing really well. So, for example, the eyes use a ton of energy, and the body will give energy to the eyes over almost anything else. So, what this means is if you are eating your meal and watching a screen, the stimulation from the screen is going to feed your visual system, and your body is going to use up the energy from that, and then it's not going to be able to use that energy as well as it should do in your digestive system to actually break down that food. So you're not going to digest your food properly, which means you're not going to absorb all the nutrients and that good nutrition from that food if your eyes are using all of that energy up. So the best idea is to be able to eat with friends in fresh air, in a relaxing environment, talking, laughing, and hanging out, and that all helps to work with the digestive process as well. You tend to eat slower, and really this is how we're designed to eat. So if you live alone, eating with a pet and talking to them, maybe that helps, maybe that works for you. I used to sit in my back garden and listen to music because my fighting fish wouldn't talk back. And hey, that's just how it is. Eating with your hands is sometimes good too, as it gets you a feel for what you're eating. We really don't have a lot of feel stimulus these days, so it helps. And many cultures still eat this way today. So whether religious or not, blessing your meals has been scientifically proven to increase the vitality of the meal. So even an unhealthy meal which has been blessed can sometimes sit better with your body than a healthy meal which has been, well, which has not always been just rushed down. And I know it sounds crazy, but science keeps proving it time and again. So blessing your food can be done in your head rather than out loud if that suits you, and especially if you're out in public. So whatever you're going to do at meal times, be conscious of your behaviours. Now only you can decide what you will do on a daily basis, and hey, that's all right. If possible, laugh, and that's really easy with kids around. Supplements. All right, so supplements should be treated as what they are, supplementary to the food you eat. They are there to fill any gaps that may appear in your nutrition if you're busy, stressed, sick, or just need a boost. Now, I've used a ton of supplements over the years and wasted a ton of money, so take this advice so you don't end up burning money just like I did. Ideally, you should work with a naturopath to find out what you need. Don't just take my advice at face value, as your body and my body may be very different. So, multivitamin and mineral. Food isn't rich in nutrients as it used to be, so this stuff just fills the gaps. Ask around what a few good brands are and try them out. What works best for me may not work best for you. So I've used Juice Plus. I'm now using the Gundry Reds. In the past, I've also used an Energy Revitalization System powder and really liked all three of them actually. Now, omega-3 and fish oil. You can just eat some fatty fish on a regular basis, which I've made a bit more of an effort to. But I did start taking this again recently, and I noticed a difference when I took it. All my joints felt a lot better, and that's totally worth it. So there's a product called Vector Mega, which is a really good brand. You can get wild salmon oil, which is quite good as well. That's what I'm using at the moment. I do recommend keeping these things in the freezer to maintain the quality of the product. So freezer is going to help to keep it longer, help to keep it stable. It is an oil after all, so if it gets too hot, it's really not going to be too good in the long run. You can keep it in the fridge if you need to, and again, if you are in a cooler climate, then keeping it at room temperature might be okay. But remember, the freezer or fridge is going to prolong the life of the product and keep it a much safer product for you to use. So, probiotics. Now, our gut's full of probiotics, or so it should be. A lot of the time it's broken down because of using antibiotics and our diet as well. So what we want to do is try and boost that as much as we possibly can. So with your probiotics, again, you want to try and find a particular brand to see what works best for you. Different types, different strains may work better for different people. And fermented vegetables, such as sauerkraut, pickles, kimchi, etc., kombucha to drink, all that sort of stuff helps with the probiotics, getting them from natural foods too. So there is prebiotics, which you may have heard from. Prebiotics are generally more from foods, especially your fruits, vegetables, fibers, that sort of stuff. So don't get the two confused, and try not to get too confused about it at all. So protein powder we've already mentioned on page 16, so I'm not going to go into detail there. Just flip back and check it out at some stage. Bone broth and collagen also can be gelatin, you may have heard, same sort of thing. So, or just a different name really. This stuff helps to restore your muscle tissue and joints and comes from breaking down the joints of animals. So what I mean by that is, let's say you boil up a knee joint, the cartilage, it all kind of breaks down, and that's where that broth, collagen, gelatin comes from. You want good quality bones, joints, ligaments, tendons. Again, you want to be using an organic source so you get the best quality in your body. So you can make your own with the recipe that's listed in there on page 24, or you can buy bone broth or collagen powder and just mix it with water. So Great Lakes make a really good bone broth supplement. Just ask your health food store what they have and they'll be able to help you out. Vitamin D, really good. If you get enough sun on your skin, you may be good for your vitamin D, but a lot of people can't actually convert sunlight into vitamin D these days. So supplementing can be really important here, especially in the winter months. I supplemented with vitamin D in winter and I found it to be of great benefit. It's much warmer and I'm in the sun a lot more at the moment, not worrying about it, so we'll see how the year progresses as to whether I go back to it. So for those people that suffer from that seasonal affective disorder, or start to get a little bit more depressed when the sun goes away, vitamin D can sort of help to just lift that away. Yeah, it's not really an antidepressant thing or a depression itself, it's just a feeling. So don't put too much into it, but try the vitamin D and see how you go. You can get it from supermarket, grocery store, health food stores, everywhere. Oregano oil and vitamin C. Now, they are my favourite immune boosting combo. and I tend to use them in tandem for a good reason. So oregano oil is really strong as an antifungal, anti-parasitic supplement, and helps to get you back healthy again, especially good for colds and flus and that. But it is very, very, very strong. So what I'll tend to do is put some drops of the oregano oil under my tongue, drink some water, and then chase it with vitamin C, the chewable vitamin C that you get from the grocery store, and it helps to just take that the edge of the flavour away from the oregano oil. Vitamin C obviously by itself is really good for your immune system as well, and it's a cheap supplement that sort of keeps things going. So if you are sick or if you have issues with candida, that can be a really good one. Again, go and consult with your naturopath on that, because you may only want to use it for a short time, and you may want to use it away from probiotics. There is some discussion and some confusion around that one. Some people say that it can interrupt the good bacteria in your gut, and others say that it may not do so. So do some research there. Another one of my favourites is activated charcoal. So this stuff is a great detoxifier and works really well once or twice a year in tandem with an elimination diet especially. It's got no taste, mixes easily with water, and helps to pull heavy metals and other foreign particles from your precious body. So again, I've heard with this one you may not want to use it all the time because it might pull some of the good nutrients from your body, but again, that is up for debate. So moving on, fat loss science. So fat loss is simple. Exercise and don't eat too much and the weight falls away, right? Well, sometimes, but it's not often that easy. Exercise done with poor form, in a rush, and on little sleep can lead to injuries, which means you don't train, aren't motivated to eat well, and often end up worse than when you started. So the right type of exercise for fat loss can help burn fat, build muscle, reshape your body, and push your fitness levels very quickly. Strength training and intervals are a great combination for fat loss, and recovery training helps to look after your body and keep it working and keep you from getting sick or injured. Then there's food. We get so used to eating the foods we eat, and with a busy lifestyle, bad habits creep in, and sometimes we get a little lost. So we've got a few options for you. Starting at level 1. If you are all over your place, skipping meals and eating wherever you have time, then you should start by making the time to eat 3 meals a day as a priority. Don't worry about moving on to the next level until you can do this for a couple of weeks consistently, or you'll likely lose that habit. So set eating alarms if you have to, and use the 14-day habit checklist, or record on your diary or on your phone. You don't have to go crazy counting calories either. We've got Precision Nutrition's calorie counting guide for that, which we've already been through. Just stick with the basics and the process will be much easier for you. So if you're eating 3 meals a day and just need some fine tuning or pointing in the right direction, practice making your plate look right, according to the slide that we showed you earlier, and getting your serving sizes more appropriate. Now we move on to level 2. So you're still going to work on the 14-day habit checklists and building habits that are going to support your progress. So you can use those habits that we provided for you, or you can make your own. You will know what works best for you. So if you want a little bit more detailed information, you can look over our Naked Nutrition meal plan, then write your own meal plan based on the food preferences that you already have and the cooking skills that you already have. So we've already said that there's a blank meal plan at the end, which you can use, and yeah, there's also recipe and FAQs if you want to ask more questions. We'll go through that a little bit later. Just don't treat this meal plan that I'm providing as exactly right for you, because I don't know you, I don't have any background for you. It's written as a guide only and is not specific to every one of you. We all have specific nutrition requirements, eating preferences. You're much better off working with what you've already got, work out your own serving sizes and factor them into your plan with the foods that you like. As you build your nutrition skills, you'll find making a meal plan that works for you ideal, and you will find life gets so much easier after that. So from there you can move on to level 3, but it's not absolutely necessary. Most people are going to be quite good at level 2. Level 3 is really there for people who have built a wide foundation or a wide range of supporting nutrition skills, have plenty of discipline and want the fastest results. So if you do that, you can follow our elimination diet for 4 weeks. Or if you're struggling with a health problem or illness and not sure what you should be doing, I recommend following the elimination diet, as it can show you what foods may be causing problems in your body. The elimination diet helps the body detox naturally by removing foods that may be problematic or causing water retention, allergies, or just keeping excess weight on. I've included an excerpt from a Precision Nutrition article to walk you through the process, which is on, I don't know where it is. It says page 25 in my book, and I guess I've got it wrong. So anyway, going through this simple detox process, you should drop fat, lose weight, have more energy, and your skin will look and feel silky smooth. Plus, you may identify foods that don't agree with your body. You'll still have plenty of foods to eat, including rice, meat, most fruit, and most vegetables, and you will feel full after your meals rather than having those hard to resist cravings. After the 4 weeks, you can write up your new meal plan based on what you discover about your body and your nutrition needs. And if you ever want more detailed information, our 21-day detox challenge is now available on my personal website. Now, you can find that at travissoyer.com, and it is in the free stuff section, or let's see if I can find your exact, where are we? Here we go. travissoyer.com/more-energy, and you can sign up for our 21-day detox process for detox challenge for free, and we've got a more energy cheat sheet in there for you as well. So basically you'll get meal plans and recipes to really fine-tune things, and daily emails to just give you little tips along the way, keep you motivated, and yeah, it's a really great guide for giving you all sorts of in-depth information with that. As I mentioned earlier, don't get obsessed with working your way up to level 3 though. Level 2 is the majority that, level 2 is all the majority of you are ever really going to need. So just keep building your better habits for years to come. I'm still working on mine, and I will be for the rest of my life. Alright, for best results. Be realistic about where you are and where you want to go. Slow progress is still progress and likely to last in the long term. Be consistent with your nutrition. As you build your healthy habits, it will get easier to keep consistent. And as your health improves, your body changes. Be consistent with your cardio, strength and recovery training. And yes, you need to train for recovery. Always give your best. Optimal results from consistency are across all areas of health and fitness. We're in training, so you don't need to give 100% at every workout for best results. Save that for competition if that's still something that you do. Some days your training will be at 50% if you're tired or sick. Some days it'll be at 90%. Anywhere in between is an essential part of the process. Build your training volume up slowly too. Don't go from 2 sessions a week to 7 sessions in a week, as it's counterproductive and your body will riot. I've learnt this the hard way as I go back to peak fitness. Also, don't go from doing nothing to doing 1.5 hour fitness sessions. You're much better off starting out going from nothing to doing 10 minutes a day for 6 or 7 days a week, and gradually building up your volume from there. Aim for 2 to 4 strength workouts and 1 to 2 interval training workouts each week for fastest results. If you want to train more than 6 times per week, add in fun activities or walking for up to 45 minutes, 6 days a week. Take 1 rest day each week. You can still walk, stretch and do yoga on this day, and it is vital to your success. Get plenty of sleep each night. Go to bed before 10:30 p.m. for best mind and body recharging. If you want to sleep in 10 minutes or if you don't wake up fresh in the morning, you've probably got some work to do to improve some other area of your health and especially your sleep. So get started on your nutrition at level 1, 2 or 3 depending on your ability and experience. If things are not working for you, write down what you ate in a single day in the MyFitnessPal phone app, and it'll automatically calculate your calories or kilojoules, protein, fat and carbohydrates, and can tell you if you're eating too much, too little or not enough of each. But don't do this every day. Alright? If you get obsessed with the numbers, it can get a whole lot more difficult. You're much better getting obsessed with the habits and being consistent. So if you want to follow us on social media, you can find us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/warriorwithincoaching, or my personal page at facebook.com/thetravisSawyer and instagram.com/thetravisSawyer. I will update them from time to time on fitness, nutrition and lifestyle tips to help you along your way. And there's also a ton of articles on my personal blog: health, fitness, nutrition, injury management, lifestyle design, psychology of success, all sorts of things. And you can find that at TravisSawyer.com. Make sure you sign up for my emails by signing up for one of my freebies, and I give a whole heap of stuff away. So try and do that, and yeah, it's all going to help. The more motivation you can get, the more I can help you, the happier I'm going to be. Now we move on to our sample meal plan. So we start with breakfast, and breakfast really alternates between a berry protein smoothie and multicolored scrambled eggs most days. Now the berry protein smoothie sounds exactly as it is, and your multicolored scrambled eggs is really just going to be eggs and coloured vegetables, so you're getting some in at the start of each day. On Saturday we've put it slightly different. So there's a little bit of bacon, mushrooms, avocado in there. Just don't get too carried away with your quantity there. I know it might be a bit more of an indulgent meal for some, but realistically that's just there to mix things up a little bit. So Sunday, same thing, slightly different. We've got poached eggs with spinach and avocado. Again, don't go too overboard with things, but remember, these are just ideas. So morning snacks, some of the ones we have are 10 to 20 grams of pumpkin seeds with a green apple, 10 to 20 grams of raw walnuts with 1 to 2 cups of celery sticks, 1 to 2 tablespoons of almond butter on celery. Oh, that tastes good. With a cup of strawberries, 10 to 20 grams of raw macadamia nuts with 1 to 2 cups of capsicum sticks, a couple of, 1 or 2 hard-boiled eggs with a pear, 10 to 20 grams of pecans with 1 to 2 cups of snow peas, 10 to 20 grams of raw Brazil nuts with 1 to 2 cups of cucumber sticks. Alright, they are just ideas, and your Arvo snacks are going to be quite similar. We've also got some beef sausages in there listed, chicken breast cut into strips, similar sorts of things, and you really can alternate between them. It doesn't matter too much. So our lunch and dinners are very similar. What I've done, especially with our lunches, is incorporated them as leftovers from the night before. So if I start on Monday lunch is leftover peri-peri chicken salad. Dinner, beef chow mein. Tuesday lunch, beef chow mein leftovers. Tuesday dinner, Thai green chicken curry. Wednesday, chicken curry leftovers for lunch. Wild salmon basil burgers, Wednesday for dinner. We've got a Mediterranean tuna salad on Thursday for lunch. Beef or chicken fajita stir fry on Thursday night's dinner. And then leftover fajita salad on Friday for lunchtime. Chili con carne on Friday night, and chili con carne leftovers on Saturday. Got grilled fish and salad on a Saturday night. Spinach salad with spiced pork and ginger dressing. And Sunday night we go on to peri-peri chicken with grilled onion, capsicum and avocado. Now, as I mentioned before, this is just a sample meal plan. It's not what I eat each day, and there's a blank meal plan for you that you can print off and add your own meals to, and that's what I would recommend you do. Vegetarians and vegans can also replace any animal product with protein-rich options such as tofu and tempeh. Now, those items that I have on our meal plan, we have the recipes for them for you, and I'll go through them after the FAQ section. Now, those recipes in there are really just the most simple meals I can possibly come up with, because I don't have a lot of time and I love eating, but I don't really like cooking. So they're all meals, ideally like them to be able to be done and served within about 20 minutes at the most. So have a play around with them as you go. We'll go through them a little bit more further down the line. For now, we're going to go into our frequently asked questions. So the first one is this all I eat? Well, this is actually a lot of food on there. If you're a bigger person or you're still hungry, increase your portion sizes by adding carb-dense foods, or just go into the calorie control guide and see if you're up to scratch with that. If you're hungry after eating your snack, then it probably wasn't big enough or you haven't given it enough time. Give yourself 10 minutes or so after you eat so the brain registers the stomach being full. So eat slowly, chew your food, and if need be, add a little bit more protein, veg, nuts, seeds, oils, or avocado. And also remember that trick that I said before about having a glass of water before your meal, because maybe you were just thirsty and your body is really in need of water. From there, how much protein should you be eating in a day? So this is quite a technical question, and the numbers will likely mean nothing to you and just be too hard. But I will go through them anyway for those people who like all the details. If you refer to the portion control chart from Precision Nutrition to the right, and especially above, you'll be able to get your protein requirements in anyway. For the people who need numbers, you should aim for about 2 grams per kilo of your body weight. So if you want to drop a few kilos, you can use a number slightly less than what you are now, but no more than 10 kilos lower than your current weight. So for me, let's say I weigh around 70 kilos right now, 2 grams per kilo, I'm looking around 140 grams of protein. Now this is not grams of meat, it is grams of protein, so be very careful with what you're looking at. If I was going to try and drop a few kilos and, well, I wouldn't want to drop 10 kilos, so let's say that I was going to drop 5, which again, I still don't want to do, but for example, I would go from 140 down to 135, and that would be my protein requirement there. Now don't get too carried away with this. Again, your portion control guide is really a whole lot more convenient. Some people ask why so much protein. Now protein preserves or builds muscle tissue and is rarely stored as fat. Best of all, it's often found along with a little fat in the food sources, and the combination of the two stops you feeling hungry and leaves you satisfied. On top of that, this is actually not much. Now, the amount of protein that you need for just maintaining muscle or maintaining health is less than this. But for those people who want fat loss or increased athletic performance, the higher protein is really a lot better. And we say higher protein, this is still a moderate protein diet or moderate protein numbers at best anyway. So you're still not actually on the high protein. And remember, if you don't want to eat too much meat, you can go to non-meat sources. So dairy sources, using protein powders, vegetarian sources, you can use eggs and fish. What does a serve of protein or vegetables or fruit or carbs or fat look like? So we've already gone through that. You go to the Precision Nutrition Calorie Control Guide and that'll help you out. We've got eggs for breakfast. How many should you be eating for women? 2 to 4, depending on your size, probably. For men, 3 to 6, depending on your size. So your aim is to get 25 to 50 grams of protein at breakfast, and eggs can contain 6 to 8 grams of protein per egg, more or less. But remember, this is an individual science, so if it feels too much after you've eaten, it probably is. I currently eat 3 eggs at breakfast with some greens and sometimes a piece of fruit. Alright, it doesn't tend to get too much more specific than that, and quite honestly, I actually prefer a smaller breakfast than a larger breakfast. If I have a breakfast that's too big, I actually end up lethargic and lacking energy, especially in the morning. Kind of just want to go to sleep by late morning. Alright, protein in your smoothie. For women, 1 to 1.5 30-gram scoops should be about enough depending on your size. For men, 1.5 to 2 30-gram scoops depending on your size. Again, your aim is to get 25 to 50 grams of protein at breakfast, and protein powder usually contains around 25 grams per 30-gram scoop. Exceptions to this are when you go to the plant proteins. So I know hemp and pea protein are roughly around 14 grams of protein per, I think, 30-gram scoop. So just be aware. Again, I actually like a smaller protein serve with my breakfast. So I only have a maximum of about 30 grams of protein at breakfast, and sometimes as little as 15 or thereabouts. But this is an individual science. You've got to figure out what works best for you. And remember that I am a seasoned professional with this stuff. I will make up my protein at the other end of the day, and I always have these numbers running through my head, so I don't really have to think about it at all. Now, there are no starchy carbs listed on the meal plan. So, it's not to say that all starchy carbs are bad, but for fat loss, at least for a little while, cutting back or going without starchy carbs is quite a benefit. Now, as mentioned before, this is a bit of an advanced strategy, and you can try it for up to 4 weeks. After that time, add a little bit of starchy carbs back into your diet each day, and that may mean it's just at one meal or at all 3 meals, depending on your individual needs. So some days you're going to need more carbs and some days you're going to need less. So just base that on how you feel, and it's going to be, again, a little bit of trial and error. Limiting your starchy carbs forces you to get your nutrition from lean meats, fish and eggs for protein, nuts, seeds and oils for good fat, and fresh vegetables and fruit for carbohydrates. And it can be quite difficult to make the transition, but if you reduce your starchy carbs, you must make sure you eat the right quantities of your protein, fats and veggies, or you will be tired and hungry. So starchy carbs are not evil. They're just really easy to eat lots of. Vegetables are much harder to eat lots of, but practice makes perfect. Again, if in doubt, refer back to the calorie control guide that Precision Nutrition puts out there for you. When can you eat your starchy carbs? So for optimal fat loss, you want to limit your starchy carbs to 3 or 4 days a week, immediately after your harder strength or martial arts workouts. You may have some in your cheat meals too. Just don't get too carried away with your cheat meals. Again, men may need more starchy carbs on a daily basis depending on their activity level. Even women may still do as well. Let's say you work a really physical job doing landscaping or building where you are lifting and moving non-stop. There's going to be much greater energy demand there, and starchy carbs are going to be your friend. So now you may prefer 1 serve on lighter training days and 2 or 3 serves on hard training days. Again, it's something that you just want to practice and figure out what fits best for you. How much and what type of carbs should you be having? So, should be having around 25 to 40 grams of carbs depending on your weight, according to strength coach Jason Ferrugia, author of the Renegade Diet. So good carb sources include white or brown rice, potatoes or sweet potato, quinoa, oats, maltodextrin powder, sourdough bread, and again, all of these things can be different based on other people. So for me, I actually don't eat quinoa even though it's gluten-free. It reacts with me. I don't eat oats. Oats in Australia aren't gluten-free, or they're processed in facilities that process other gluten-containing grains. So again, maltodextrin powder doesn't agree with me either, but with some people it works fine. Sourdough bread certainly digests better. You can also get sprouted breads, and they're really good too. So see what feels best for you. Alright, there are other gluten-free grains which are really good. A lot of them I haven't tried, but hey, in time. If you're having a super shake as a meal, you can add 25 to 40 grams of maltodextrin powder to the shake and go for it that way. That can be your starch or carb source for the meal. If you're making a smoothie in the blender, you can add oats and blend it together that way. That's something that I used to do when I was younger. Or you can make up some quinoa or porridge to go with your super shake or eggs. If you're having a main meal, just cook up some rice or potato, sweet potato or quinoa and add it to your normal meal. And remember to read the food labels and only have as much as is required. A measuring cup or spoon is definitely your friend here. Alright, I am training for a triathlon or endurance event or race. Is this enough food for me? The answer is probably not. This is really a fat loss or maintenance meal plan designed to achieve optimum body composition. It's ideal for those looking to lose fat and tone up, or even to just maintain body composition. A competitive athlete will likely need more carbs and calories to cater to the extra work and expedite their recovery. So see a nutritionist or dietitian for a more specific plan to your training program, or you may want to work with me personally and I can work something out with you which is more specific to your needs. It's just going to take a little bit more time, effort and money on your behalf. How much fruit can I have and where are the other fruits? So the fruits we have listed in this meal plan are the more fibrous ones. And it doesn't mean you have to eat the fibrous ones all the time. It just means to try eat them most of the time, as they will help to keep your blood sugar levels more balanced and not send you on a sugar high. Or you can just eat what feels best for you as you know your body. You may find that some fruits are your favorites and you're addicted to them, but they're no good for you. Or they're your favorites and they're actually really good for you. We don't actually know until you do an elimination diet or had some testing. So again, that's up to you as to where you go from there. Right, there are no cheat meals listed. I don't need to add cheat meals to the menu because I know you're going to have cheat meals throughout your week anyway. And in fact, you should actually schedule them in depending on the invitations or events going on in your life. Just stick to the 90% rule, which allows you 10% of your meals to be from cheat meals, and don't go overboard with them. As in, don't go and have an absolutely massive cheat meal, because it's just not going to work. Having 0 cheat meals each week may make your brain explode or cause your partner to send me hate mail, so I wouldn't recommend it. But for some people, this is just the way it works, and you can actually do really well at it. There are healthier cheat meals as well. I've discussed this with clients recently, and one in particular, we talked about nachos. So if you got some good quality corn chips and didn't eat the whole bag yourself, and you make up a meat and bean based chili con carne yourself with herbs and spices to flavour it, and some homemade guacamole, it's actually going to be quite a good cheat meal for you. So use your discretion. If you're eating 5 meals a day, then you can have 3.5 cheat meals a week based on that 90% rule. Round it down for best results, ideally. And remember, 5 meals a day, really it's 3 meals and 2 snacks. So from 3 or 3.5 cheat meals, you're really going to be having 1 or 2 big meals and 1 or 2 snacks. So many traders, include myself, will suggest only having 1 cheat meal a week. It is very hard to do, but again, it will help with your results. If eating multiple cheat meals, limit your calories and keep them healthier. Now, what drinks can you have? Water, preferably filtered, and lots of it. Aim for around 2 litres and more if you work a physical job or train a lot. Water quality does matter as well. So if you can get spring water or reverse osmosis filtered water, so you have the fluoride removed and other chemicals and additives in there, that's great. Try and add back a little bit of Celtic or Himalayan salt, as in that'll give you some of the vital minerals and allow your body to absorb that water a whole lot better too. Lemon juice squeezed in warm water before meals does aid with digestion, and squeezing cold water will help those who hate drinking plain water. Green tea's been shown to help with increasing metabolism, but remember it contains caffeine, so not too much after lunch. Herbal teas are really great as well. I'm a big fan of drinking kombucha too. It's fermented green tea and it's flavoured and full of healthy, gut-friendly probiotics. You should be drinking 0 liquid calories in an ideal world. If you're looking for fat loss, that's just the way you want it to be, and all your calories should come from real food. So beware of fruit juices of all kinds. Packaged stuff is very high in sugar and should be avoided, but so is freshly squeezed juice. I recommend freshly squeezed juice with a little green apple, carrot and ginger, plus you can add whatever greens you like. There are a ton of recipes on the internet. So the freshly squeezed juice is something you might make at home, and it is delicious. Putting a little apple cider vinegar in there actually works really well too. So don't drink alcohol ever. Give it up completely. Well, that's not really realistic and not going to work. That'd be crazy advice. But just keep in mind that every drink that you have is a step in the opposite direction from your goal if trying to lose fat and manage inflammation. Now, if you must drink alcohol, vodka and soda is a lower calorie option, and then again limit to maybe 1 day a week and 1 to 2 drinks if possible. And if you don't like the nuts and or seeds, can you replace it with something? Of course you can. You're in charge of your own body and you know what works for you. My meal plan is a guide. It is not what you should be doing. So you can have the fruit and vegetables listed and replace the nuts and seeds with a protein shake mixed in water, cottage cheese or hard cheeses if you tolerate dairy or like that sort of thing, grilled meats cut into strips as mentioned in the meal plan, Hummus is another really good one too. I don't like nuts and seeds listed on that day. Can I switch them with ones I like better? Well, you want a broad range of nuts and seeds for maximum nutrition, but they can be swapped between the following categories. Now, I have put them in these two categories for a reason. One is higher in fat, one is higher in carbohydrate. So the ones that are higher in fat are the walnuts, pecans, macadamias, and Brazil nuts from category 2, I believe. And the ones that are lower, I have pumpkin seeds, raw almonds, almond butter, and then we've also got beef or chicken sausages, hard-boiled eggs, and chicken breast strips in there as well. Now, remember, this is not an exact science. This is not exactly for you. You may be allergic to all or some of those things, so you can switch them around. Why two categories? As I mentioned already, lower fat and higher protein on some days, and vice versa. It's just a basic way to cycle calories and macronutrients throughout the week without you having to think too much about it. So I said higher in carbohydrates, and it's actually, I got that wrong. So there you go. What protein powder should you be using? So whey protein is most common and great for those who tolerate dairy. I recommend the Professional Whey WPI for most people, as it tastes good, mixes well, and is naturally sweetened and inexpensive. You can get that from professionalwhey.com.au. There are organic or grass-fed brands out there as well, but I have not tried them. As I mentioned, I'm not having whey protein or any proteins from dairy at the moment either. Pea protein is now quite common for those who can't tolerate dairy. It's gluten-free, wheat-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. I recommend the Sun Warrior in chocolate or vanilla, as it tastes pretty good. Not as good when mixed with just water, but it's certainly good for you. They also have a pea protein, rice protein blend, I believe. So hemp protein is my choice, as I've mentioned before, as it tastes good and mixes well in smoothies, and it's okay with water. I like the fact that it's organic and priced really well from hempfoods.com.au. Rice protein is available, as I mentioned before, but I think it tastes like dirt. You can also get casein protein, which is another milk or dairy derived one, but I've not tried that. And I'm sure there's others around too. Just make sure you buy the ones with no artificial flavors or sweetness such as sucralose. Instead, choose ones flavored with, sweetened with stevia or xylitol. And again, organic is best if that's what you can get. Advanced tips. For those who are very disciplined, I recommend trying something called intermittent fasting. I'm sure many of you have heard about that these days. The technique often involves fasting for the early part of the day and eating more in the later part of the day. Often the fast is between 12 to 16 hours, such as between 8 p.m. at night and 8 a.m. or up to 12 p.m. the next day, but you'll have to find out what works best for you. There's also the 5 and 2 diet, where you are eating a certain amount of calories for 5 days a week and a lower amount of calories 2 days a week. I recommend reading more on the subject before trying it, but it is something that I've done before with good result, and it certainly frees up more time. If you're highly stressed though, it can be stressful to your system, so be aware and see how your body responds. You can check out the free book written by Precision Nutrition team at precisionnutrition.com/intermittent-fasting, or the link is on page 33, or you can pick up Jason Ferrugia's Renegade Diet online, and that goes into detail with that too. So we're going to move on to naked nutrition recipes now, but rather than going through them in detail, I'm just going to go through what they basically are, because otherwise it just gets messy. So we've got a spinach salad with spiced pork and ginger dressing, and yeah, it shouldn't take you too long to get done. Peri-peri chicken with grilled onion, capsicum and avocado. Oh, I could eat that just about every day. Berry protein smoothie is something that I do eat of some description every day. Yeah, pretty similar. At the moment, I've actually skipped the spinach because the spinach seems to be reacting with me though. So I know some people might find that putting spinach or some sort of a vegetable in the drink is a little bit weird, but it's something you don't really taste, so don't even put too much to it. The peri-peri chicken salad, also amazing. I also like to put some cashews in there every now and then. That just really adds to the flavour too. beef chow mein or savoury mince, and this is one of those things where you just really need beef, some flavouring, and you can throw almost anything in with it. So if you've got leftover vegetables from the week, yeah, you just chuck them in and it's nice and simple. Multicoloured scrambled eggs I already spoke about before, because it's just whatever coloured vegetables you throw in with your eggs. I love capsicums, paprika as well. Fresh paprika is amazing. Spring onion. I've already mentioned spinach is one that I use regularly, but it really depends on what you can find. We've got a Thai green chicken curry there. Love to make my Thai green chicken curry, and anything that's got plenty of coconut milk in, delicious by me. Wild salmon basil burgers, another nice and simple one, and once they're already cooked up, I mean, you can hold on to them for a few days and not even think about it. Oh, they're sitting on lettuce leaves in the picture in the burger, in the picture in there, yeah, wrapping them up in lettuce leaves, it's just absolutely amazing. One of my most favourite things ever. I'm actually considering at the moment making burgers using 2 burgers as the bun and putting the vegetables inside the burgers. So there you go, meat lovers, eat your heart out. Mediterranean tuna salad comes next. I do love my tuna, something I still eat on a regular basis as well. Beef or chicken fajita stir fries, yep, beautiful. And then fajita salad in there using the leftover meat and just whatever veggies you've got as well. Chili con carne, another beautiful favourite. You don't have to use beef mince. If you wanted, you could use lamb, you could use pork, you could use chicken, you could use kangaroo, whatever you've got really. It doesn't matter too much. It's the chili that adds the flavour to it. I've actually made some really good turkey chilies using the same recipe before. We've got grilled fish and salad, which is always nice. And then we go on to a shopping list. So I'm not going to go through the shopping list as well, but basically you want to go through the categories so you can figure out what you need. So there's other protein in there, which is more like your protein powders, and eggs would fit into there as well. Then you've got meat and fish, fruit and veg, your liquids, and your canned, bottled, packaged and spices, and the liquids kind of carry over with that sort of stuff as well, and then nuts and seeds. As I've got written in here, do not go out and buy everything on the shopping list I have provided. This is set up for the meal plan that we have there, and while I could eat through this in a week with no problem whatsoever, not everybody could, and it may be too much or too little for certain people. So please just use it as a guide and don't worry about it too much. Alright, page 41 is where we've got our personalised your own meal plan, where you can write up your own one and figure out what you want. And then we move on to the elimination diet. So, as I've mentioned before, sometimes the elimination diet, or sometimes particular foods, leave you feeling uncomfortable, sick or tired, and the elimination diet is as it sounds. You cut out certain foods for a short while to see how your body feels without those foods. Then you slowly reintroduce them back into your diet, or you keep them out indefinitely if they make you feel lethargic, gassy, bloated, or whatever. From time to time we may run our 21-day detox program. Well, as I've done now, I've just made it free, so you can get that for traverssawyer.com/more-energy, I believe, or if you just go to my website, you'll find it in the free stuff section. It's got recipes and more detailed information to help really guide you through this elimination diet, and it's got everything in there, including a webinar which goes for about 45 minutes, I believe. It just goes into even more detail about why you would do it. Look, for a simple version though, consider removing grains, dairy and poor quality oils and limiting your sugar for 30 days. That's a really simple version of an elimination diet, and even just doing that you should get some pretty impressive results. So bear that in mind too. Just remember, you want to eat more lean protein, fat and vegetables, focusing on avocado, coconut and olive oil. You could cut out legumes or nuts if you suspect they're problematic. I know it's a wise idea to do so. Even if you only do it for 4 days and bring it back in, that's generally enough time for the food to go all the way through your system and be completely out. and be able to reintroduce it. So the following that I'm going to read through is an excerpt from a Precision Nutrition article that Brian Walsh wrote, and we've linked all the way through to that, precisionnutrition.com/elimination-diet. If you want to check that out, and I recommend you do, because the more information you know regarding this, the better it's going to go for you and the more prepared you're going to be. So let's kick it off. How to do an elimination diet, what to remove. So the best elimination diets remove the largest number of foods. Generally speaking, the more restrictive, the better. Yes, it's more work, but as with most things, the more work, the greater the payoff. To begin with, a good elimination diet will remove gluten, dairy, soy, eggs, corn, pork, beef, chicken, beans and lentils, coffee, citrus fruits, nuts and nightshade vegetables. That might sound like a lot, but it leaves plenty of options for a relatively satisfying diet comprised primarily of rice, meat, i.e. turkey, fish and lamb, most fruit and most types of vegetables. As mentioned, this is a fairly restrictive elimination diet. There are lists available on the internet allowing more and sometimes fewer foods in the diet. The key here is not to get too dogmatic. Self-experimentation rules the day. So try different things and see what works for you. The only caveat here is the more you remove, the more likely you are to discover foods you're intolerant to, which is a good thing for your health. And here's another tip. Consider removing any other foods you eat frequently. For example, eat turkey or asparagus every day. If so, try replacing them during the elimination experiment. You might find that you've become intolerant to one of the daily staples because you're eating it so frequently. Reintroduction. Of course, it's not the purpose of the elimination diet to get rid of all the foods above forever. That would be awful. Rather, the point is to eliminate the foods and then slowly reintroduce them one at a time so you can monitor yourself for symptoms. So, at the end of the 3 weeks of elimination, reintroduce a single food group for 1 day only, and then monitor your symptoms for 2 days. For example, you might decide to reintroduce dairy on a Monday. That day you could eat some cheese, ice cream, and drink a glass of milk. While getting right back to your elimination diet, monitor for any abnormal reactions on Tuesday and Wednesday. If you have no observable symptoms, you may try introducing another food, i.e. eggs, on Thursday. You can continue this process for a couple more weeks, reintroducing one new food every few days until you've determined what foods may cause you an issue, if any. The whole process will take approximately 5 to 6 weeks, and at the end of the experiment, you'll know a heck of a lot about how your body responds to different foods. What to look for. The key to the approach is this. Pay attention to how you're feeling. For example, you'll want to monitor your sleep, mood, energy, digestion, bowel habits, etc. In fact, we recommend keeping a journal during the elimination phase and tracking any physical, mental, or emotional signs and symptoms. If you feel better during the elimination period, more energy, better sleep, it may indicate that a food you commonly eat is causing you a problem. The second thing to watch for is symptoms, negative or positive, during the reintroduction. Negative reactions can include insomnia, fatigue, joint pain and/or inflammation, skin breakouts or rashes, headaches, bowel changes or GI pain, bloating, brain fog, sinus or other respiratory issues. Now, because you'll be introducing eliminated foods one at a time, you can be very observant of food-related changes. And virtually anything that is different than you felt during the previous 3 weeks could be a symptom, negative or positive. Interestingly, some people actually report increased energy when a given food is reintroduced. Unfortunately, this may be created by a stress response to the particular food, and that's actually a negative thing. So it's important to keep a log of all reactions, positive or negative. An additional tool, the pulse test. Another tool you can use during the reintroduction phase is the pulse test. After sitting for about 5 minutes, make a note of your resting pulse, number of beats that occur in 1 minute. Then take a bite of the food you've decided to reintroduce, i.e. dairy, and retake your resting pulse 1 minute later. A pulse that's faster or slower by more than 10 beats can indicate sensitivity to a given food if other physical symptoms are present. To confirm a reaction, you can repeat the test again later in the day after a second exposure to the food. If the same thing happens, this can definitely suggest a food intolerance. Obviously, pulse rate can vary for a number of reasons, and therefore this test is not diagnostic of food intolerance, but when correlating it with symptoms, it can add additional valuable information. Tips for success. By now you should realise that the elimination diet isn't necessarily easy, but it's not that hard either. It just requires that you have a plan and you pay attention. Of course, the more you put into the elimination diet, the more you get out of it. So here are some tips for having success with this plan. Prepare. People who spend the week prior to starting the program looking up recipes that are elimination diet friendly do far better than people that jump right into it. Have the foods that you will need on hand, know how to cook them, and prep as much as possible in advance. For example, making a large pot of rice complete with vegetables, protein and seasonings ahead of time can help increase compliance during those times when you get hungry and have few options nearby. Clean out your kitchen. People aren't particularly good with willpower. Get rid of the foods that aren't part of your elimination phase or hide them really well. Keep a journal, record symptoms, energy and mood throughout the day to help identify any patterns with food intake. Remember, this is a self-experiment, and every good scientist needs a lab book in which they keep their notes and experimental details. The following table gives an example of what to include and exclude during an elimination diet. So you'll find this table on page 45. So we want to include almost all fresh fruit, excluding some citrus. We have almost all fresh vegetables, raw, steamed, sautéed or roasted, but exclude tomatoes, eggplant, potatoes, sweet potato and yams are okay. I might also suggest capsicum in this, as that's something that can be problematic. Even the peppers, chilies, that sort of thing as well, they fit in that nightshade family and they could be in there. So if you have any, well, if you're prepared to cut out tomatoes, I'd give that a go as well. Foods to include: rice and buckwheat. Now you may remove them if you specifically, or if you suspect specific sensitivities to grains, but they may be okay. But exclude wheat, corn, barley, spelt, kamut, rye, oats, all gluten-containing products. Legumes, none of them. Exclude all soybeans, tofu, tempeh, soy milk, all beans, peas and lentils. Nuts and seeds, we don't include any. We exclude everyone. For meat and fish, you include fish, turkey, lamb and wild game, and exclude beef, chicken, pork, eggs, cold cuts, bacon, hot dogs, canned meat, sausage, shellfish, meat substitutes made from soy. Including in dairy is unsweetened rice milk, coconut milk. Again, if the rice milk aggravates you, I know it does for me, you may want to cut it out. Exclude milk, cheese, cottage cheese, cream, yogurt, butter, ice cream and non-dairy creamers. For fats, cold expeller pressed olive oil, flaxseed oil, coconut oil. Exclude margarine, butter, processed and hydrogenated oils, mayonnaise and spreads. Include plenty of fresh drinking water, herbal teas, and avoid alcohol, caffeine, coffee, black tea, green tea, and any soda. So we're going to include sea salt, fresh pepper, fresh herbs and spices like garlic, cumin, dill, ginger, oregano, parsley, rosemary, thyme and turmeric, and exclude chocolate, ketchup, mustard, relish, chutney, soy sauce, barbecue sauce and vinegar. Sweeteners, you can use stevia if need be, and exclude white or brown sugar, honey, maple syrup, corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup and desserts. So that's the end of the extract from the Precision Nutrition article. As I mentioned earlier, you can read that at the link that we have at the start of the article, or you can go straight to our 21-day detox, which we offer for you on my website in the free stuff section. So we've reached the conclusion, and if you made it this far, congratulations. You are one of the few people who finishes reading books, or at least listening to it anyway. And I hope you got plenty out of it. But now you've got to apply what you've read or listened to, or that time and knowledge just goes to waste. So start with one thing and build your habits up gradually so you can stick with them for the long term. As I've mentioned many times over, consistency makes for long-term success. So you're better to be consistent with one thing than sporadic with several. If you need more guidance or may be interested in our online nutrition coaching and body transformation program, then come and talk to me. It's an education which will gradually have you building habits that are essential to reaching your goals and keeping a lean body for life. We also include your strength and conditioning programs to complement your other training based on your individual needs, and we'll move that stuff around if need be. Even if you have injuries to work around. If you need a more specific program to help you get back to your diet or get back to your best or realign your body, I can do custom 3-month programs for people as well. We'll do a screen at the start of that just so we can see how you move, and that's invaluable. I've paid people many thousands of dollars to do that for me numerous times, and it's worth its weight in gold. So for our online coaching programs, men, you can find out more at warriorwithin.com.au/men's transformation, and women at warriorwithin.com.au/women's transformation. If you're interested and serious about doing the work required to make a massive change, we will arrange a call to see if we're a good fit to work together. And as mentioned, you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/warriorwithincoaching, or my personal page, facebook.com/thetraversawyer, or instagram.com/thetraversawyer. And I will update these things, and I will send out updates and articles on my newsletter when I am sending things out that way. And you can always check straight back to my blog, traversawyer.com, and I will be updating that from time to time. And that's about it. So best of luck with whatever goals you have. I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope you've got plenty out of it. I know I've got plenty out of putting it together over the years and rewriting, and it's probably not the last time that this will be rewritten. I guess the biggest thing I can tell you is don't get bogged down in a diet, a particular diet, and I mean, like, if we're talking about the paleo diet or the ketogenic diet or the whatever other diet, it doesn't matter about the label of the diet. What matters is what is in there. Having your protein, vegetables, fruits, quality starches, quality fats, and making sure your food is as unprocessed as possible, and that you're consistently eating that unprocessed food as commonly or as regularly as possible will make all the difference for you. So that's it. I will leave that with you. If you need any help, please send me an email, hit me up on social media, give me a call, talk to me in person, whatever it takes, and I hope I can help you more.